the neighbor who gives you the jump start, and the friend who chases away that flock of geese at your outdoor wedding. Your State Farm agent has your back, too, through good times and the not-so-good. And who's got your agent's back? State Farm, the company people have trusted for more than 90 years. We're here to help life go right. Call State Farm agent Barkley Hudson at 270-365-7521.
Hey, this is Lisa Stofan. Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking with hypnosis. Hypnosis eliminated my desire for soda and fast food, made me want to exercise, and I lost 60 pounds in 6 months. My energy level exploded. I went to another session to deal with some other problem foods, and I lost another 10 pounds. In fact, I brought my husband. He lost weight. More important, cholesterol and blood pressure improved. My friend went and she lost 20 pounds in the first 2 months. So does Mark Patrick hypnosis work? Oh yeah, it works. Nothing has changed my life more. Well, except maybe my husband. He's so proud of me. Makes me cry.
Oh my, a touching story. So what are you waiting for? Join Mark Patrick's seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed for only $49.99. That's right. Weight loss seminar Tuesday, February 25th at the Wyndham Garden, formerly the Holiday Inn in Hopkinsville. Time is 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Registration begins at 5 p.m. Stop smoking seminar starts at 8 p.m. Registration starts 7:30 p.m.
West Kentucky Real Estate and Auction will conduct an absolute auction in Princeton this Saturday, February 8th, starting at 10 a.m. Selling will be a 3-bedroom, 1-bath home. Mini log cabin storage and carport will sell separately. Location of the auction is 250 Jenkins Road, Princeton, just 2 miles from Caldwell County Schools. To see pictures and find out more info, go to westkentuckyrealestate.com. West Kentucky Real Estate and Auction. Wayne Boyd, broker auctioneer.
What does your morning sound like?
Morning, Al.
Next stop, 32nd Street.
Welcome to McDonald's.
Hi, can I get an Egg McMuffin, please?
Here's to making your morning routine a little better with a delicious breakfast from McDonald's.
This is Mallory Hancock Lawrence, and we love our Caldwell and Lyon County friends. We invite you to come to Cadiz anytime you can to shop with us. We're making it even easier for you. Whether you work in Cadiz or just come to town for a visit, stop in and shop with us. But if you're in a hurry, you can pre-order your groceries at hancocksneighborhoodmarket.com. It's so easy and convenient. Of course, we want to see your smiling face anytime we can, but if you're in a hurry, hancocksneighborhoodmarket.com is the way to go. Hancock's Neighborhood Market, Cadiz.
It's time for your SportsEdge.com Sideline Report with Todd Griffin. Talking sports and more here on 1580, 103.3 WPKY and worldwide at WPKYonline.com. Here's your host, Todd Griffin.
And good morning, everyone. The Sideline Report is on the air from 1035 West Main Street in Princeton. This is Todd Griffin of WPKY Radio and your SportsEdge.com. Thanks for joining us this morning on the Sideline Report. And as always, Ty Englebright in the studio with us this morning. And Ty, thanks for sticking around and being on the show today.
Always enjoy being here, Todd. And especially on a kind of a cold, damp morning. It's always just great to be in the friendly confines of the studio.
There's snow in the forecast.
There is, just a little bit. Maybe we'll see some of that this year.
We're going to hit the ground running this morning on the Sideline Report, though. A lot to get to today. Lots of sports going on, as always. And going to start with a Caldwell County grad who is on the phone with us this morning, all the way from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Fonso White is joining us on the show. And Fonso, first of all, welcome to the show. And looks like you guys are having a big season there at Bishop Luers.
Yes, Todd. Thank you guys for having me on, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. We're off to a pretty good start this year, considering the way things went last year, and the guys have bought into the system that I put in place last year with the we over me, and like you said, we're off to a great start, and it's about mid-season and sectional draws in a couple weeks, so we look forward to doing some great things then.
And that's a program there that's kind of struggled a little bit the last few years. Now, I think there are some state championships back in the past, so it's a program that has had some success. But when you took over the program, it was kind of at a low point.
Yes, they had 2 state championships under Coach Blackman, who's down at Marion, who, when he left, he won a state championship at Marion. And, we had an opportunity at the beginning of January to go down and play that team of his. His son went out with a torn ACL, but, you still play the program versus the player. And, yeah, we won that game, and, we're looking forward to trying to add another banner to our account for us, And, again, like you said, they won a couple of state championships before me and struggled a couple of years with J.J. Foster. They went to semi-state, and then with the guy that came in before I took over, they kind of struggled because they were trying to find identity.
Now, you guys, I believe, are tied for first in your conference. How does that kind of work in Indiana basketball? Because Indiana's a little different setup from the way Kentucky is set up.
Yes, with Fort Wayne, we're the second biggest market, with Indianapolis being the first market of best competition of, you have D1 caliber athletes that you're playing in and night out. And the Summit Athletic Conference that we play in is one of the toughest ones around. We have 8 4A schools, which is your largest school of enrollment, and then 2 3A schools being us and our sister school, Bishop Dwenger. And, the preseason polls picked us 9th in the conference because, like a lot of people say with the second-year coach, you don't expect to make the big jump like we did. And, we kind of surprised a lot of people and surprising them big time right now because we're still in the midst of first place at the top of the conference with 2 big conference games coming up, and we only have 3 more left. I watched Snyder and Dwenger play the other night, which Dwenger ended up getting edged out by Snyder by 3. So Snyder stays in control at 6-1, and we're going into Tuesday night's game at 5-1, which we hope to stay on path with them. So then when we meet up on Friday, February 14th, it will be the battle for the championship.
How does the conference setup there work? If you finish first in your conference, does that give you a better seed for the postseason? Or because, here in Kentucky, we have the districts and the regions and those kind of things. How is it kind of set up there in Indiana?
Well, with the conference play, it's just all about bragging rights for the area. The way they do it here in Indiana, they have a blind draw with, like I said, in 2 weeks, like this week, the girls sectional is going on. And so in 2 weeks, they'll have a blind draw on Sunday afternoon for the boys draw. And they'll put the ping pong balls in the hoop thing and then draw it out. And then wherever you put ping pong ball pops out at, that's where you're situated at within your sectional. And we have a 17 sectional up in Garrett, Indiana, is a sectional that we'll play out of. And then we'll feed into a 4-team regional that is out of Huntington North. And then, of course, you'll feed into a semi-state that's like around the Lafayette area. And then, of course, the state championships in Indianapolis.
We're talking this morning with Fonso White, who is a Caldwell County grad. He's the boys basketball head coach at Bishop Luers in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And Fonso, I guess the big question is, how did you end up at Bishop Luers?
Well, it's a long story, but I'll keep it short. I took my first coaching job at Clinton Central High School, which was a team that was 0-24 the year I took over, and they were 6-63 in the 3 years before me. And I went in there, and we changed the program and got them to the sectional championship. And so I was only there for 2 years, but in 2 years we won more games in 2 years than they won in 8. And so I left and went to Westfield where my family lives at, and, to be close to my kids and everything. So I kind of took a backseat as an assistant coach, and then Bishop Luers called me up and said, I know this is a long shot, but, we hear that you're a culture builder, so we want to bring you on board and see if you can help us out. And long story short, I said yes and embellished the opportunity to do it.
Well, I can remember back when I first started in radio, which was a long time ago, it seems like. You were a manager on the basketball team here and then got to play some. Do you remember some of those conversations we had before games? And what are some of your memories from your time here at Caldwell County?
Yeah. I always enjoyed my time talking to you, and it's good, just to build rapport and and still have a long-lasting friendship, especially with your brother Chris and all the great people at Caldwell County. Some of my best memories are Coach Scott, just always having that. He was direct with you, but yet he had that relationship building type thing, and that's the type of coach I try to be. Is I try to build relationships with all the players, and then coaches like Frankie Brown, who when I was a freshman player, that kept saying, hey, if you don't make the team this year, then there's always next year. He just always had that belief in you. Coach Hughes that was there, and Coach Carol Boyd, just being around a great group of guys that were great mentors for me growing up, and that helped me persevere through a lot of things and taught me a lot of things that that it's not the end of the world if you don't make the first cut, but you can always keep battling. And get into something else.
Hey, Fonso, good morning. Ty Englebright here. Got a question for you. Kind of a two-parter, but you can tell me, is there a difference coaching at a private school compared to maybe a public school? And then what kind of pressure is it on you? I'm just looking here in my research. A lot of success, a lot of state championships there at Bishop Luers. Talk a little bit about that, if there's a difference or you don't feel anything, or if the alumni are just really stoking for state championships. How does that work?
Well, the biggest difference is that with us being a Catholic school and being a small school, we only have 600 kids in our school, grades 9 through 12. And our schedule, the way we play the 9th toughest schedule in the state of Indiana out of all 4 classes. And, that's one of the things when I looked at Bishop Luers was that, it's a private school, but yet they play a high caliber schedule, and you don't sway from any of the bigger schools with 4,000 kids in it. Like we took on a big Warren Central school with 4,400 kids compared to our 600, and we held our own against them. And, it just taught the kids a lot, and, I just, the biggest difference that I see is that, with us being small, being a parochial school, private school, that, there's a lot of things that I have to do outside the confines of basketball coaching. Like you have the religious background that you have to put into play. You have to teach virtues. You have to teach, them how to be young men first and foremost and discuss certain things on that aspect. And as far as the alumni go, the alumni, like Deshaun Thomas that played at Ohio State that's now playing overseas, the Blackman brothers that both played at IU, those guys are coming back this summer to help us out with camp, but there's not too much pressure. But, I put the pressure on myself because I feel like that, you're taking on a school like that was prestigious, at one point in time in basketball, and you want to get them back there. But then, I think the biggest pressure is trying to catch up with football, which has 11 state championships. And, it's just, the football coach, Kyle Lindsay, and I, we do a great job of sharing athletes and, sharing weight programs and different ways on how we can get the best out of our kids that we have.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, you mentioned
Thank
a lot
you,
of the guys here that, you kind of played under. What kind of lessons did you learn from those guys, and what kind of style of basketball do you play there at Bishop Luers?
Well, I'm always a Kentucky person by heart, and, just one of the things, with Coach Scott, we did a lot of run and jump, and, he infused the diamond press, and, those are some things that I took away and that I still do, even from coaching at the 2 years at the college level. I learned a lot that from the college level that taught me that the high school game is slower than the college level, and, each level gets faster and faster. But again, just, with Robin Scott and Frankie Brown and Carol Boyd and those guys, just, you got to have that defensive presence. And then, the most crucial seconds in basketball is that 4 seconds in transition. If you can get back on defense, you're going to be good. If you can get out on people in that 4 seconds, you're going to steal a lot of points off the board.
Well, sounds like you guys are doing a good job this year, and one thing we need to get you guys down this way some way. I know the West Kentucky Hoops Classic would be glad to get you guys, but I think that kind of conflicts with a tournament you guys have going on. But yeah, we need to get your team back down this way somehow.
Yes, and I've been looking at different tournaments that you have down there, and also with me being on the IVCA board here, the state board of coaches here, as one of the board members. We were looking at an Indiana-Kentucky Classic and trying to see how we can strengthen that because I know that the biggest problem in Kentucky was finding a venue that would accommodate, the 6 games that we're trying to play in a day setting of the Indiana-Kentucky Classic. And, that was one of the things I looked at was, okay, how can I play Caldwell or how can I play any team with my team in a setting like that, or even just come down on a Saturday or something and play the Tigers.
Yeah, I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, of course, Fonso, Indiana and Kentucky share this love and this tradition for basketball. Speak to that just for a second. You going to high school here, playing here, being involved in Kentucky basketball, and then being in Indiana, a state that certainly loves their round ball. Talk to us a little bit about that and the differences and maybe the similarities with the fans of basketball in Indiana and Kentucky.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing in Kentucky, everybody, the schools are spread out farther than it is in Indiana. So, a lot of people, the basketball, whatever the high school sports is, that's the show for that night or that weekend. Whereas in Indiana, you got a lot of other, interest levels that are out there where kids are spread thin to do multiple things. And, even still in Indiana, we have a JV game that if it's a 2,500 seat gym or a 4,000 seat gym, it's going to be packed during the JV game. And, that's the biggest difference I see in Indiana basketball is that the fans come out and support the basketball game, whatever night it may be, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. They're packing the stands even for JV games. And, I've seen freshman games where there's 1,500 kids, and I've seen middle school games where there's over 1,000 kids or 1,000 people in the stands.
Wow.
So, it's just a big love for it.
I bet they got a good bratwurst up there, too.
well, well, when I was at Clinton Central, they introduced me to pork burgers.
There you go.
That was the biggest thing out there, and I enjoyed those, because they would have them every game, and they'd make sure they have them in the hospitality room, and, they just did a lot for you, whereas in Fort Wayne, it's a different, setup with how they do things, but the hospitality's still the same.
That's awesome.
Well, I did just watch Hoosiers the other night, so it's good to know that, that atmosphere still exists.
That's right.
Well, I play that music from that thing every practice, to get those guys upbeat and get them thinking, hey, we have a chance every time we get on the floor.
Well, you mentioned earlier about Fort Wayne, how many teams there are, Indianapolis. I mean, that is some big boy basketball up that way, and there's just a ton of schools in both of those cities.
Yes, like in the Indianapolis area, there's 16 Marion County schools, and then you have another 20 or 30 surrounding suburban schools that you can play. And same thing in Fort Wayne. You have, the 16 city schools, and then you have the suburban schools where you got 20 or 30 real powerhouse teams. And, with our 5 losses that we have, we lost to Warren Central, which is 4,400 students, which was 5th in the state in 4A. But now they're ranked overall in the IBCA coaches poll. They're ranked 8th overall in the state. Then we lost to Fort Wayne Blackhawk Christian, which has Kayla First. That is a 6'10" player that's getting a lot of D1 offers from high majors. And, they're the defending state champion from 1A that got moved up for the success factor in 2A. And, we lost to them by 4 points, which we were picked to lose to them by 20. But we had a 1-point lead with 3 minutes left to go. We just couldn't finish the deal on them. And then turn around and lose to a Homestead team twice in the regular season conference game. That's our one conference loss. But then we lost them in the conference tournament, which they're one of the biggest schools in the Fort Wayne area. And then, we lost to a Great Norwell team, which is ranked 3 in 3A right now. And they're 16-1 overall. And they have a high-class senior class that has some nice college players on it as well.
We're talking this morning with Fonso White, the head basketball coach at Bishop Luers in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and he is a Caldwell County grad. Fonso, we mentioned that a couple of years ago, Bishop Luers only won 1 game, and I think you guys won 4 games last year. So what's kind of been the biggest point for the turnaround for the Knights?
I think the biggest thing is the culture, and I had to go in and clean up a lot of things and, get a lot of the right coaches in the right places to help me do what I need to do with the program and get us set up for success. Last year was just a growing year for me and the kids because, with anything coming in, kids are resistant, against anything new or you trying to change their game or change their mind. And, that's one of the biggest things we do as coaches. We're in a business where we got to change minds from thinking one way to thinking another way.
Yeah, looking ahead, what are kind of the goals for the rest of the season, and just what are your kind of goals overall there at Bishop Luers?
Well, as we progressively get to next week, Tuesday night, we got Southside at Southside, so it's a road conference game, and Southside's kind of in the middle of the pack of the conference, which their coach, J.J. Foster, was the coach at Luers before they went 1-22. So, there's kind of mutual feelings between the players and him, for what they got to do and, how they want to attack it. But the kids know that JJ's not going to be their friend that night and that he's going to be ready to put it on us and be one of the spoilers to spoil us from having an opportunity to be conference champions this year. And then, of course, getting to Friday night, Valentine's night, which is going to be nice because it will be packed and the guys are just jumping around back last night at practice. which was saying, hey, we're actually going to have this thing standing room only come Friday night because everyone in Fort Wayne and the surrounding counties are going to want to be there to see how we shake out against Snyder, which last year we played Snyder at their place, and they beat us pretty bad over there because we were down our DeMarcus Hudson, who's my leading scorer. He went out last year after the 5th game, so that kind of hurt us. But just having him healthy right now and being able to go for 26 points a night, is great for us. So I got kind of like the big three of high school basketball with Hudson at 26 points a game, Nayland Thompson, who's a junior that will break 1,000 this year. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to for him and his family, for him to break 1,000 as a junior. He's averaged about 18 points a game. Then I have another senior in Jalen Kazi that's averaged about 13 points a game. And, I got Nayland's younger brother, Nick, that's also a good player. I'm looking forward to his development and seeing how much we can get him to be just as good as his brother. And then moving into sectional, we're waiting on the sectional draw. It's just looking forward to seeing where we stack out at and who they put us up against. And, pretty much right now we're 3-0 against the teams in our sectional. But, anybody can beat anybody in Indiana because everybody's in the gym getting things done. And, our hope is that we continue our rise and continue to do things the right way and get it done.
Yeah, it sounds like you're having a whole lot of fun there, and that's a big part of it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it is.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the show, and good luck to you guys the rest of the season. And always appreciate hearing from you. And, keep me updated how you guys are doing up there.
Well, hey, thank you, Todd and Ty, for having me on. And, I want to say hello to all the great people in Princeton, and especially my family and friends that are still there.
Absolutely. We appreciate it, and we'll have you on again sometime.
Thank you, Fonso, and best of luck the rest of the season.
Hey, thank you, Ty. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. That is Fonso White, again, a Caldwell County grad. He's the head coach at Bishop Luers in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Those guys having a great season and tied for first in their conference up there, Ty.
Yeah, fantastic. And, boy, that's for a small school like that, a lot of state championships, 11 in football. They've been successful in track and golf, and no doubt Fonso White has them in the right direction as well. So we wish him luck the rest of the season, and Godspeed and just good luck, man.
Absolutely. Lots more to come on the Sideline Report this morning, though. Bob Hayes is going to join us just momentarily, so stay with us. Back after this on the Sideline Report on 1580, 103.3 WPKY.
Make your reservations today for Valentina Day at Adams Breezy Hill Farm Restaurant. You and your sweetheart will enjoy one appetizer of choice to share, 2 prime rib dinners with 2 sides each, and a Black Forest Deluxe dessert to split. Cost is $85. This Valentine's special is available February 13th, 14th, and 15th. Reservations are recommended. Call today. And remember, the Mercantile has great gifts for all occasions. Adams Breezy Hill on the Cadiz Road, Princeton, 270-365-1234. Valentine's Day special, February 13th, 14th, and 15th.
There's an advantage in being the home team. You know who Emma Talley, Jake Lewis, and Pat Gates are. You've seen the wall around Butler Stadium and have heard of the Caldwell Crazies. Trice Hughes, we're your home team. Here's our home team deal of the week.
2018 Buick Regal, 13,000 miles, Trice priced at $269 per month for 72 months.
Get this home team deal of the week at Trice Hughes. Find us on Highway 91 North, Princeton, or tricehughes.com.
Do you want to save money on your winter electric bill? When you're at home and awake, set your thermostat as low as is comfortable, but when you're asleep or out of the house, turn your thermostat back 10 to 15 degrees for 8 hours, and it'll save around 10% a year on your heating bills. A smart programmable thermostat can make it easy to set back your temperature. Brought to you by your Princeton Electric Plant Board. Hometown Energy working for you.
We are back on the Sideline Report on 1580, 103.3 WPKY, and online at WPKYonline.com. And we thank you for listening this morning. Thanks to Fonso White for joining us from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Again, good luck to Fonso and the Knights this season. That was fun to catch up.
Really was. And sounds like he's got it going on up there, and it's great to see Caldwell County alumni taking it to the next level, and then mentoring kids and coaching.
Well, and on the way in, I knew he had gone 1-22 the year before. He won 4 last year. His record this year,
10-5, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
quite a turnaround.
Yeah, quite. And in a tough situation where you're playing in a city and it's a little different than around. There's not a whole lot of small schools up there. It's big boy basketball for sure.
Fort Wayne is a huge, big city, and a lot of people in not only the city but the county surrounding area as well.
Had an NBA basketball team at one time.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm showing my age now.
Yeah, you are. Were they an old ABA team, or were they NBA?
No, they were the early NBA.
Early NBA. Okay, I didn't know.
The Fort Wayne Zollner Pistons.
Wow. So
look at there.
Some deep cuts this morning.
Deep cuts, but it just seems that...
This means you got an old guy in here.
Well, Bob Hayes has joined us, and we're
welcome.
going to talk a lot of sports for the rest of the show, so, stay with us. I do want to mention that Emma Talley is in Victoria, Australia at the ISPS Handa Vic Open. Shot a 1-over in the first round and was in really good shape most of the day. Birdied 2 of her first 4 holes, got off to a great start, but finished with a double bogey 6 on number 9, which was her last hole, and that took her from 1 under to 1 over, and basically it took her from being right there on the cut line where she was in good shape to now she has to do some work today.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure she'll dig deep and try to get that putter working and get
that's
rolling.
coming off a disappointing missing the cut by 1 stroke last week in Florida.
Yep.
But there's a lot of disappointments in golf. If you played very much, it's you just try to fight that, and you never know when you're going to turn it around, because if I remember correctly, Emma missed the cut in this event last year, but then played well the next week, which I think is the Women's Australian Open. Yep. So you just never know when you're going to be on the right course and have the right feel and have a big day.
No, and that's golf, and it's 90% between the ears, maybe even more than that. And I'm sure, knowing Emma, she's mentally tough, and hopefully she'll have a good round today.
Well, and it's always fun when they're on the other side of the planet trying to figure out what time everything is. Emma's second round tees off at 7:50 a.m. Friday in Australia. However, with the 17-hour time difference, that's 2:50 this afternoon.
Yeah, I knew
here.
it was probably sometime this afternoon. So, wow.
That's during my nap.
Uh-oh. Now, is any of that, I know you mentioned yesterday, some of that, was some of this going to be on the Golf Channel?
Golf Channel has coverage at 10 o'clock each night, live coverage from Australia.
Okay.
Watched a little bit last night, did not see Emma. It's actually a unique event because there's 144 women and 144 men playing the same courses. There's a beach course and a creek course at the club they're at this week, and everybody plays one side one day and the other course the next day, and
you're either in the sand or the water if you're me, right?
Or the beach.
That's what I'm saying.
If
the beach course, I'm in the sand. If I'm playing the creek course, I'm in the water.
And there's 2 cuts in this event. There's a cut down to the top 60 in ties after the second round, then the top 35 in ties after the third round.
Wow.
So, you have to just keep making the cut. But if you make the first cut, you make some money. So that's where it's at.
That's important. That is important.
Ty Englebright is here. Bob Hayes is here. This is Todd Griffin. We're on the Sideline Report this morning. Again, thanks to Fonso White for joining us. We've got more coming up, so stay with us as we continue on the Sideline Report on 1580 103.3 WPKY.
I was going to do my Willard Scott laugh. 50% chance of rain mixed with snow today. It's a little damp and cold out there right now. High today of 36. And an 80% chance of snow overnight. Low down to 28. New snow accumulation around an inch possible. Don't have any snow accumulation as of yet. So you can maybe expect an inch on your morning commute for Friday. Cloudy tomorrow and then tomorrow night. 20% chance of snow after midnight. Mostly cloudy again. Low 31. Sunshine for Saturday, a high 42. And then clear Saturday night, low 29. Outlook for Sunday, slight chance of rain. Could see gusty winds as well, a high 53. And the morning commute Monday looks wet, and then a high near 47. Again for today, a 50-50 chance of rain mixed with snow, a high 36. It is 35 and cloudy at WPKY.
This weather update brought to you by the Cat's Den, where everyone knows your name. Great food at great prices. Come see us. 4000 Farmersville Road, Princeton.
Need cash fast? Get the money you need. Call ABC Finance now.
Life doesn't always go as planned, and sometimes money is tight when you need it most.
At ABC Finance, we're here for you.
Hi, Hi, this is Jody Lamb at the Princeton ABC Finance location,
And this is Todd Morris at the Hopkinsville location.
and we can help you in a pinch, even if your credit is less than perfect.
At ABC Finance, we provide loans up to $15,000 and the individual attention to help you get your finances back on track.
We are locally owned and staffed, and decisions are made quickly, usually within an hour.
No appointment is needed. Walk-ins are welcome.
You can even give us a call, and we will take your application over the phone.
Or you can apply online at abcfinanceonline.com.
And like ABC Finance on Facebook.
ABC Finance in Hopkinsville on Fort Campbell Boulevard next to O'Charlie's and in Princeton Plaza. ABC Finance. All loans subject to normal credit approval.
Sideline Report continues on 1580, 103.3 WPKY. A little men at work bringing us back to the Sideline Report, Ty.
Down under, and of course we were just talking about Emma Talley being down under.
Absolutely.
So
how did they know?
How did they know that the radio gods worked for us today?
We are back on the Sideline Report. This is Todd Griffin. Ty Englebright is here. Bob Hayes has joined us. And Bob, a unique situation over at Hopkins County Central Tuesday night.
It was a very unique situation, Todd, when I walked into that gym and didn't realize at first why the rags were on the court while the Hopkins Central Lady Storm were out there practicing. That's always a mystery when I go into a gym that we're going to be playing the team. They're still out there practicing. And so we got there about 15 minutes before 5. The game started at 6. So we got set up, and I would notice that people would go around, and we finally figured out there's rain on the floor, a leak. And I told Dennis that this is like being on a baseball field on the pitching mound with a wet mound or a muddy mound. You're just not going to risk injury in that situation like that. And because they went ahead and let the girls warm up and start the game, I thought maybe it was one of those drips every 30 seconds or so or what. But when action started, this really gave it away. When action would be down at one end of the floor, this young lady would be going out onto the court, mopping up the spot that was leaking and the spot eventually where JC went down right in front of us. And, it was just like a slide in the hole when she went down. She didn't, her knees didn't buckle. They just went out from under her. And I thought this, we got to not play anymore. And officials obviously got together and quickly made that decision.
Well, it's kind of a no-brainer to stop the game at that point. However, you hate that everybody made the trip over there for 3 minutes of basketball.
Well, and we were over there for about an hour and a half. We could have gone down and gotten at the Borton's Gap Eatery, the cafe, or whatever.
A lot of choices over there now.
Yeah, because a lot of choices over at Morton's Gap.
But the game has been rescheduled for Monday, and as you mentioned when you first came in, it makes for a busy week next week for sure.
We got the doubleheader on Monday. Then Tuesday we have the doubleheader with Crittenden County at the Butler Gym. Wednesday is off, and then on Thursday the boys with a JV varsity doubleheader, boys JV varsity against Dawson, and on Friday girls and boys doubleheader with Trigg County, all in Princeton next week. So our road travels are over with maybe as of Monday, unless we have snow tomorrow and we have Madisonville doubleheader tomorrow, so I don't know how that's going to work into play, whether we get this dusting, if this dusting is enough to postpone tomorrow night's basketball games.
Well, and these are important basketball games because the 7th District seeds, and I believe the second meeting of the season is still the tiebreaker. It's weighted where that's more important. So Caldwell County, potentially both teams, still in the running for the number 1 seeds.
Well, exactly, and so it's something that if you can postpone a game, it certainly is not a district game that you want to postpone. And we also right now, I understand, giving up the game we had scheduled with Mayfield. That was on the regular season schedule that was to have been played Saturday of this week. So that's out.
Yeah, right. That game has been canceled. The Lady Tigers were going to play Mayfield here Saturday afternoon, but that game just canceled, I guess, because so many games coming up. Lady Tigers trying to get ready for all those district games with the one Friday night now, the one Monday, so no Saturday game.
And which meant that you'd have to practice on Sunday. So and a lot of activity in a span of 4 days for anybody. Certainly, ladies. You don't know how quickly they bounce back after. Madisonville is going to be a grueling test for sure.
Well, and we mentioned the number 1 seed still up for grabs. However, I think everybody's picking Madisonville for both boys and girls. Caldwell County would have to go over there and win. Not out of the realm of possibility for either team. However, it would be an upset if either team went over to Madisonville and picked up a win.
Both Madisonville teams are ranked in the top 10. I think the ladies are as high as 3 or 4 in the state. The boys are in the 7th, 8th position. So it would be a challenge.
Yeah, it'd be a big challenge to go over there and pull off those wins. But, hey, you never know. Just was it last season, year before last, that Madisonville came over here and had a pretty good record, and Caldwell County's guys actually knocked them off over here.
That's right.
It's certainly not beyond the realm of possibility for that to happen, but as they say, the age of Aquarius, the stars have to be aligned and the moon's in the right place and all of that for that to go down, but we're capable of that.
Caldwell County's had an interesting basketball season on both fronts. It just seems like both teams have battled injuries here lately and haven't really been able to line up for that, final season push to get ready for the postseason.
The boys have had that off and on situation with not being perfectly healthy, and I'm not sure how the injury to Cole Smiley's hand or wrist has developed over the last week, but certainly the girls are not full strength at all with what they've gone through this year. So it is a teams in of this year where we had walking wounded on both the ladies and the men's team.
So that's kind of made it difficult, like I said, to try to get ready. After this weekend, just 2 weeks left in the regular season, and then you've got the district tournament, which Madisonville will host the 7th district tournament, and then the week after that, you've got the 2nd region tournaments. Boys this year at Hopkinsville, girls over at Christian County, so at least a pretty good situation if you're a Caldwell County fan as far as travel goes.
Absolutely. I didn't know where the regionals were going to be. I knew the districts were going to be in Madisonville, and we were talking the other night going over to Morton's Gap. Dennis and I were talking about bet one of these, if not both, are going to be played in Henderson this year, but that's not the case. So
no, you get 2 trips to Hopkinsville, so that's pretty easy to make, all things considered.
If we can avoid the deer.
Yeah. At least no trips to Union County, although you do miss the Feed Mill restaurant when you.
If we had time to work it in, sometimes when we get through at 10 o'clock at night with the post game show, hunger is not one of my yearnings at that point.
When you look at the postseason coming up, though, again, Madisonville's team is going to be favored here in the 7th district. When you look at the 2nd region, again, I think it's probably Madisonville's teams, although Henderson's girls beat Madisonville's girls, so that will be, an interesting situation. But for the boys, Webster County was probably a solid number 2 for everybody, but Henderson has beaten them recently. Lyon County beat them the other night. So I've been saying all year that the 2nd region tournament for the guys is going to be really fun, except maybe for any game that involves Madisonville, which they're going to be a clear favorite.
Well, and if we certainly get there, they'll not be in our bracket, so it could be similar to what we did last year, playing in the final, so to speak. So the boys that is, as well as the ladies. So if we got to the region in both boys and girls, it's one of those championship games where anything can happen in a championship game.
And probably going to have to go through Hopkins County Central to get to the regional tournament for both Caldwell County teams. The Lady Tigers own a win over Hopkins Central. The guys own a 30-point win over Hopkins Central. However, Michael Fralix has his boys team playing pretty well over there right now.
And as you mentioned the other night, and I checked this out before we got over there, their last 8 games, they're 6-2, the boys are. And the girls seem to always be pesky to the point where when this game was suspended this week, the Hopkins Central ladies were leading the Tigers 5-2. So that's where we pick that up, I presume, when we start Monday evening.
And you knew after a rough start with Coach Freilich's team, he kind of got off to a little rocky start. You knew at some point he was going to get buy-in from his players and get that situation rectified, which obviously the last 8 games he certainly has.
Well, winning certainly helps.
It does.
Any kind of buy-in. 6-2 over the last 8 games, you almost want to throw out the first 11 or 12 or whatever they were 0-11.
Yeah, I think they were 0-13.
13, yeah.
So, the season started 8 games ago for Hopkins Central.
Well, and that's what I always say during baseball season when the St. Louis Cardinals are struggling. Everybody complains about everything, but I'm like, winning fixes everything.
No doubt.
It is a great, great stimulant.
Yeah. Go out and win 4 or 5 games in a row, changes everything.
Infectious. It really is.
Your pitching becomes better, your hitting becomes better, and in the case of basketball, your shooting becomes better.
Well, just the outlook is better. I mean, when you're sitting there with an offer in front of your record, that psychologically that's tough.
It's a downer.
You don't want to walk down the hall. You want to stay in the study hall.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to see that. And I saw where Livingston Central's guys got a win the other night over Fort Campbell, and nobody wants to see anybody. You don't want to see your biggest rival go over, I don't think.
Well, exactly. And kind of getting back to Fonso, what a change he had to make in that program up there. His first year was the year that last year they won 4.
Yeah.
And 10 games this year. He's got those kids thinking the right things, playing the right way. Just a lot of pats on the back to Fonso for that.
Yeah. But the 4 wins last year was actually an improvement. They had only won one year before, or 1 game before he got there.
Yeah.
So the 4 wins actually showed improvement. And now this year, they're playing really well.
Well, and it just gets back to winning. It cures a lot of problems.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Talking with Bob Hayes on the Sideline Report today. Ty Englebright is here as well. Need to get to a break on the show, but we'll be back to talk more sports after this. You're listening to the Sideline Report on 1580, 103.3 WPKY.
Your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast is brought to you by Raider Auction Company.
And here's your forecast for today. A 50-50 shot of rain, maybe mixed with snow, a high near 36. 80% chance of snow overnight. We could see a little bit of accumulation, maybe about an inch possible for your Friday morning commute, a low down to 28. Cloudy skies for tomorrow, a high near 38, and then a 20% chance of snow after midnight, mostly cloudy, a low 31. Sunshine for Saturday, a high 42, with clear skies Saturday night, a low 29. A slight chance of rain for Sunday, and could see some gusty winds as well. High 53, gusts as high as 26 miles per hour, and morning rain likely Monday. Cloudy in the afternoon, a high near 47. Again for today, 50-50 shot of rain, snow mix, a high 36. It's 35 and cloudy at WPKY.
Since 1978, Perry's Floors & More has been selling, installing, and servicing homeowners throughout Western Kentucky with quality flooring and workmanship. Perry's Floors & More carries luxury vinyl plank and luxury vinyl tile, carpet, window treatments, and more. Brands like Mannington, Shaw, Tarkett, Beaulieu, and Flexitech. Quality brands, excellent customer service, combined with 40 years experience is why they say you can walk on our reputation. See Bill and Lucy at Perry's Floors & More, 127 West Market Street, Princeton.
Shop local, buy local, save big deals.
Imagine if there were a place you could go to buy gift certificates to some of the best businesses in town. Now, imagine all those great gift certificates priced 30, 35, 40%, and at times over 60% or more off retail every day of the week. The Loyal Listener Big Deal Store is online and waiting for you to shop and buy gift certificates to local businesses. Go to WPKYonline.com.
We continue on the Sideline Report here on 1580, 103.3 and WPKYonline.com. Thanks for joining us this morning. Lots of sports to talk about, as always. Again, thanks to Fonso White for being on the show earlier. Bob Hayes and Ty Englebright here now, and looking ahead to next week for Caldwell County basketball. Bob, a big night coming up Tuesday.
Big night Tuesday. We're going to be it's a throwback night. We'll be broadcasting both games from the Butler Gym. Butler Gym having undergone some really tremendous renovations, floor-wise, roof-wise, and soon to be maybe later on this summer, window-wise on that. But the boys and girls will entertain Crittenden County this upcoming Tuesday, and we'll be there covering it. We've been in that gym the last couple of days figuring out where we're going to sit, even having the carpentry class out at the vocational school building us something that we can work from, if you will, up high.
Well, I remember back in the day, you sat over the locker rooms to do the ball games.
We were going to look at that, and we were going to put our gadget there, but we got to thinking in the girls, or the Youth Incorporated still uses that gym a little bit on Saturdays for games. We didn't want anybody climbing up on that table or possibly falling over the rail, so that took that out of the mix, and we're up in the middle of the gym, but back against the wall, which gives us the best viewing, and we're going to be streaming from the Butler Gym as well.
Yeah, back in the day, the Caldwell County radio sat over the Caldwell County locker room entrance, and the visiting radio was on the other side of the floor over the entrance down to the concession area. And I'm not sure that was always the best place to broadcast from. I'm sure some of the visiting radio guys were not always thrilled to be there, but it was kind of a unique situation anyway.
It got it done, and that's where, of course, the phone lines were.
Yes, that's the big thing.
Yeah, we had to go to the phone lines. But Todd, I know, we saw all our high school games there. The cab wasn't there. It might have been there. The cab wasn't there your senior year, was it?
No, I was the last class to graduate in the Butler Gym. The next year, they graduated in the cab.
That's right. So, and I was the year before you. But my memory, just the memories of being in the Butler Gym and seeing those high school games, just an intimate setting. And when that place is full and rowdy, I don't know if there's any funner place to watch a high school basketball game. I remember, sitting in the stands in high school and just, our fans, saying things to the players, respectfully, but just trying to get in their head, so to speak, and you could do that there. Michael Gray dunking, Timmy Riley, working his magic, all of just some of the names that I remember, Chad Pepper acting crazy out there, having a good time, some of the guys that played when I was there. But I know we've all remember great games and great players there in that gymnasium, Bob.
Well, exactly, and the one thing the radio announcers didn't have to put up with 30 years ago were the women's games and sitting back in those locations where they were, because now it's still hard for me if I'm looking down on them trying to get a girl's number, shooting free throws because their ponytail covers our number.
Yeah.
So if you're one end of the court from the at one end, seeing down the other end, I don't know, and the officials come over now and they're doing Morse code, it looks like, trying to give the number to the scorers table. And I don't think our scoreboard that we'll have in the gym Tuesday night will put up the number of the player. Okay. That's a throwback scoreboard.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I would think. I haven't seen, been in that place to see the scoreboard turned on. So we're going to have to maybe have a binoculars out or somebody reading lips, if you will.
Well, the Butler Gym was always so full because it was an intimidating place for the other opponent.
Exactly.
And that's one thing that, we miss at the Cab Gym. The walls are basically blank, and it's a kind of a funky green color or gray, whatever it is. I would love to see some blue and gold in there. I want to see a great big tiger head with blood on its teeth on the wall at the end. And let's get after some people when they come in our... Yeah.
Maybe a varmint hanging out of its mouth.
Yeah, we need something. It needs to be an intimidating place, and you don't want the other team coming in going, hey, this is a nice place. Nobody ever came into Butler and said, hey, this is a nice place to play. They were all scared to death.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing about the Butler Gym, I've always felt it was a magnet. It drew people from downtown that probably had never watched a basketball game before, because it's easier to get to, parking all over that 4 or 5 area streets around it, and you just don't get that at the Cab, because the people coming to the Cab are either relatives or just wanting to see good basketball.
Well, you could walk to the Butler. For a lot of people, it was a couple of blocks to walk to the game and then walk home.
And a lot of people did that.
Yeah, it was always fun. I mean, you just big crowds, and I know every time we've had one of these throwback games down there, it's usually drawn a pretty big crowd too.
It has, and I hope it's packed Tuesday night, and I hope Crittenden County brings a lot of fans down there. I think they will too. And so when you've got both sides full, and you've got great teams, girls and boys on each side, and the smell of popcorn and the squeaking of sneakers, man, you can't beat it.
Well, the floor has been revarnished, and it's shiny. It's a nice-looking floor right now. And the other thing that maybe would attract a lot of Marion Crittenden County fans are that both teams have a chance of winning each game.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's not like you're going to come in and get waltzed by 30 or waxed, if you will, so and the weather looks like we're not going to have any other than rain, which seems to be in the forecast daily now. So I think the weather's not going to be an issue.
Well, and I mentioned this earlier, Ty, about the Butler Gym, that when I played Little League basketball, we played all our games down at Fredonia. You know, you played during the week, and you played the first round of the tournament down there. And I love the Fredonia Gym. You know, played a bunch of games in there, a bunch of pickup games, loved it. But the thing is, if you advanced to the semifinals, when I was in Little League, you got to play those games at the Butler Gym. So that was always a big deal. Yeah, you wanted to win that first game because you knew you got to go up here and play. But I remember when you were little, the Fredonia Gym's a little bit shorter than the Butler Gym. When you got on the Butler Gym floor, it seemed like a long way from one end to the other.
It just had that certain appearance because in Fredonia, you have walls at each end. Now you've got a little bit of space with the cab on both ends. So, as you say, the walls on each side sit way back.
All right.
Not up close to you. So you get that little claustrophobic feeling in a gym like Fredonia.
Well, I moved here 40 years ago, and one of the first places I went, of course, was to the school. Walked in Butler Gymnasium, and the first thing that hit me was the smell that's in there. And it smells like a gym, and I can to this day look up toward the rafters up there, and there are little clamps on the home side of where the ropes used to hang when you had to climb the rope in PE. And, man, I didn't like heights. There was no way I was climbing the top of that up to the ropes. And I still look at that, and my knees kind of shake a little bit. But some of that, it is a place where it stimulates every sense that you have, whether it's your eyes, whether it's your ears, the sounds, the smells. I mean, you can't take a bite out of it, but you can get some popcorn down the concession stand or a hot dog. But it's just magical, I think, when you walk into that gymnasium.
Well, and the crowd is right on top of the court. I mean, to me, that's one of the imposing things about trying to play there if you were the opposing team. When you were taking a ball out of bounds, especially right in front of the student section, you were literally in the student section.
No doubt. One game our senior year, I remember Livingston Central was visiting, and they had a redheaded young man on there, kind of looked like Ron Howard, if you know who that is. And all of a sudden you hear the chants, Opie, Opie, Opie. And the poor kid, I mean, he just, the whole night was listening to Opie. And I mean, back in the day, that's what happened. And I'm sure it still happens today with the Caldwell Crazies, but I hope they'll come out Tuesday night and get rocking in there.
Well, our humor is always present in baseball or basketball or football.
Oh, yeah.
You take any advantage, you take advantage of anything you can.
I remember a University Heights player diving into the student section one night after a loose ball. Caldwell County played 5-on-4 for the longest time after that.
Couldn't find that kid.
Took him a while to get back out.
Yeah, he was in the penalty box, wasn't he? That's great.
But, we all remember it, and to me, that was the gym growing up. But Caldwell County has actually played longer now at the Cab Gym than it did at Butler Gym, which is a little difficult to process for those of us that grew up going to the Butler Gym.
Yeah,
exactly. And some of the earlier memories I have of the Butler Gym, I got to see Jim McDaniels play in there against Caldwell County.
And he had a pretty good night.
Had a great night, over 50 that night.
Wow.
Also got to see Dwight Smith play Billy Chumler, Dawson playing Lowe's in that gym one night. One of the memories I have that still comes back to me is that we hosted Madisonville one night in that gym. Travis Ford was Madisonville's stud, and we beat them that night. Travis missing about a 45-footer at the buzzer if he makes it, they win the game, but he had probably 30-plus points in
that was
game.
our era.
Yeah.
That was right there in our wheelhouse. But, yeah, remember that.
So that's Tuesday. The Tigers and Lady Tigers playing Crittenden County at Butler Gym. Make sure you get out for that one. I mean, it's just a good, fun time at the old gym.
Get there early.
Yeah.
No doubt. Get you a seat, and looking forward to the new broadcast digs.
Well, I am too. I haven't seen it yet. In fact, I thought this game was later in the week. I hadn't looked at my schedule in about 3 weeks, so I've met twice with the carpentry, instructor and told him that he had to have it ready by Thursday because we were playing on Friday. Now I'm going to have to call him today. And he looks like, I met with him yesterday, he's got a jig all worked out. So got the material ordered, got the guys at the class excited about doing it. So I'm sure we'll be all right Tuesday.
Before we go any further, need to tell everybody about Dave's Deal of the Week at U-Ride in Princeton. Dave's Deal of the Week is a 2005 GMC Sierra Z71. See Dave for details at U-Ride in Princeton. That's U-Ride, 310 Marion Road, Princeton. Telephone 270-365-3215. Be sure to ask about Dave's Deal of the Week at U-Ride. Do want to mention, we talked a lot of basketball, but big wrestling event coming up this weekend. The Region 1 tournament is at Trigg County on Saturday. Guessing action will get underway about 9 o'clock or shortly thereafter Saturday over at Wildcat Gym at Trigg County in Cadiz, and then lots of coverage this weekend on yoursportsedge.com of all the teams. We've got a bunch of our teams in the regional tournament, so
we wish them luck, and it's always that's a great gym to wrestle in
and
over
a lot
there.
of our kids can make some noise in that tournament.
So best of luck to those guys.
So that's always a big deal. Top 4 in the region all get to go to state, and Caldwell County always well represented in that group.
No doubt about it.
Coming up this weekend, again, no girls basketball game, though. The Saturday game has been called off. The game over at Hopkins County Central, the girls game was suspended the other night. The boys game postponed. Those will now be made up on Monday over in Morton's Gap, and Bob, it seems like we make a lot of trips to Morton's Gap for some reason.
Well, I was going over to my condo the other night at Morton's Gap, but the high water kept me from going in and checking out things at my condo over there. But it seems like I ought to be paying taxes over there as often as we're over there.
Well, with the water being up the way it is, I'm kind of glad we don't have to go to Webster County.
Absolutely, I would. I don't know how would that trip we made over to Dixon last year through that. About 8 inches of water for about 200 yards was enough to unnerve me.
It was only up above the tires. I mean, that's...
Yeah, I remember that trip. I think the same time when the last time I went over there with you guys. Yeah,
we
had to
may
go
have been the
water.
last car to have gone through that. I don't know. Water looked to be it was continuing to rise, and after that game was over at Webster, we went back a different way.
Right.
We went through 109 back to Dawson that way.
That way is just a little bit longer distance-wise, but it's about the same time-wise because you can hit the interstate and pick up a little speed coming back if you come through Dawson.
And your car doesn't necessarily want to float.
Right. You don't have to drive through a river going that way either.
That's exactly right.
Well, anything else, guys, before we get out of here today?
Been a great show.
Oh, just get ready for next week and also get ready for tomorrow night for the Madisonville Maroons and Lady Maroons game, and we'll try to keep our voices mellow for next week.
Bob's going to go home and get his lemon twist and his lozenges out.
You got to get ready. The weather makes it tough on your voice this time of year. I've been fighting it for a month.
Yeah, it's just one of those things you deal with. But, and then it's a long broadcast season for the sports guys. And when you do this for a living each and every day, you just got to kind of take your time.
Dennis better have a lot of almond joy ready for me.
It's going to be great. So I hope all the fans go out and support the kids and just we pack the stadiums.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys coming in today and being part of the show.
Thank you.
That's Bob Hayes and Ty Englebright. Thanks to Fonso White for joining us as well, and a big show today. Thank you for listening to it. This is Todd Griffin of WPKY Radio and YourSportsEdge.com. Thanks for listening to the Sideline Report on 1580 103.3 WPKY.
Serving Caldwell County since 1950. We're 1580 103.3 WPKY Princeton.
News. I'm Chris Foster. President Trump holding up a newspaper with the headline, "Acquitted," arriving at the National Prayer Breakfast in Washington the morning after his acquittal in the